Welcome to the Monthly Yap Up. I'm Ellie, your host, and this is a series where I yap to the camera until I have nothing left to say, and then I upload it to YouTube. So it's raw, it's unedited, and it's going to be long because I have a lot to say. So if you know me from other platforms, or you just want someone to talk to you while you do other stuff, this might just be the place for you. And today is a very special episode because it's the first episode and because I've just been on holiday, so I have a lot to say about Egypt. So yeah, let's get into it. I don't know where I left my other phone. There we go. So I have a few notes. I have a lot of notes actually because I wanted to make sure I covered everything. I had a really good time actually, and there's clips on my TikTok and on my Instagram, so if you want to know more about it then by all means head over there. But this is kind of going to be my rundown, then kind of little bits and bobs about recommendations, things that I think you should do, tips, tricks, all that kind of stuff. So rundown, we went over New Year's and we went on a Monday and we arrived, I can't speak, we arrived in the evening, so it basically meant that there wasn't that much to do because it was dark, and we kind of scooted around the hotel a little bit, had something to eat, got our bags delivered, and my phone's not on silent. We got our bags delivered, all of that kind of stuff, and it was completely fine. We had a really good time, food was nice, evening entertainment was nice, and then we kind of went back and, you know, got ourselves ready for the next day. And then we move on to Tuesday, which was our first full day. We had a TUI rep, which we had a meeting with, but before we met him, we went for kind of a wander around the hotel, up to the beach, found all the amenities, all the things that we wanted to do while we were there. So yeah, it was kind of a nice chill day. We met our rep, had a little discussion with him. He gave us his tips and tricks about money, about haggling, about all of those kinds of things, and that was really helpful because there's a lot of conflicting advice on the internet, which I am now contributing to, but I'm just trying to give you guys a review of somebody who's been recently. But the one thing I didn't like about that is that we had to book our excursions. Or I don't think we had to, but we were pushed to book our excursions then, which was fine, but there was a group of 5 of us and we hadn't really discussed what we wanted to do, or what excursions we were thinking about or anything like that. So it did feel like a little bit of pressure, but we decided and we booked some stuff, and I will talk about what we did do on the days we did them. Apart from that, we didn't really do that much on Tuesday. We hung out by the pool, went to go see the evening show, got a big front row. And I have to say, the shows, as a performer, I really get in on the shows. Like, I have either really with them or I'm really not. And I always do a big review on them. Oh my God, the shows were incredible. They were some of the best dances that I've ever seen in a hotel. It was really entertaining, really engaging, and yeah, just the best entertainment I'd seen at a hotel that I'd ever been to, I think, apart from Disneyland, but that doesn't really count. They always do, like, well, I don't know if they always do. While we were there, their shows were based on a single person. So the first night was Marilyn Monroe, the second night was J-Lo, and we had one dancer be that person and dress up, and they did a compilation of songs from them, and it was just really cool and really entertaining and really quick and high energy. They were flexible, engaging. It was just really interesting and some of the best shows I've ever seen. And then Wednesday was actually New Year's Eve. So this is kind of, oh, I forgot to say, there was a la carte restaurants as well, which were free. You just had to book a space. And on Tuesday, we managed to go to an Indian restaurant. And this was the best restaurant in the whole place. That was my favourite one. I had nice vegetable samosas, chicken tikka masala, and then a chai masala for dessert. And it's the first time I've tried a chai masala, and I really enjoyed it. It was a really good restaurant. I would definitely recommend doing a la carte if you do go to the same house stay in the same place. And there was also a DJ after the show as well, which they do every night, and it was really fun, nice and chill. She was a good DJ. We really enjoyed that specific DJ. She was really good. So yeah, we danced for a little bit and then we went back. Wednesday we chilled by the pool in the daytime. It was nice and relaxed. This was the most relaxing holiday I've ever been on. Normally we're like, go, let's go here, let's do this, but it was nice to just be warm enough to sit by the pool and do nothing. They also had a heated pool, so that was nice. We kind of chilled by that day. And while we were chilling by the pool, they came round and asked us to book the spa, and we did want to do the spa, so we ended up booking that, and 4 of us got massages. And I'll talk about the spa when it's spa day, but honestly it was pretty intense for me. And yeah, that's pretty much all we did. Just chill, got ready for the New Year's Eve celebration, and it was pretty intense. It was really good. All of the entertainment was outdoors, and for New Year's Eve you had to book a table. So we booked the table on the Tuesday. Felt like we were going to be right near the back, but actually we weren't. We had a pretty good view because it was like slightly tiered. And the show was insane. Like, we went for a buffet tea, which was a little disappointing. Like, There was a lot of foods that I don't really eat. I'm quite picky. And I was a bit disappointed in the types of food they had at the buffet. I was hoping to get something a little different, but it's okay that it wasn't okay. The desserts were 0 out of 10. They were so bad. However, they came around with snacks in the actual celebration part, so I didn't go hungry. So yeah, on to the actual New Year's Eve celebration. It was incredible. It was better than Lanzarote. It wasn't better than Madeira. We went to Madeira 2 years ago, and that was like the best fireworks ever. But they did like a big show, so they had lots of singers, they had a band come on, lots of different things going on. One of the bands was slightly out of key. Like, there was one singer that was just, bless her, she was having a bad time. So it was a bit disappointing that happened, but you know, everybody has a bad day, so it's not really that bad. And apart from that, it was incredible. Like, the dancers were so good. They did like a big Brazilian Rio theme. They had huge carnival outfits and feathers and glitter, and people from the audience were throwing money at them. It was just insane, and it was really good. They were doing capoeira and tricks, and they were in the audience, and it was just pretty insane. I really enjoyed that. It was really cool. And then we came to the actual countdown, and they had a big screen from about a minute playing loads of different photos, and then they counted down, and the fireworks actually came straight away. That was the good thing about having outdoor entertainment, I suppose. There was nowhere to go, there was nowhere to move to. It wasn't like, oh, we have to go outside now and wait. It was just 3, 2, 1, bang, here's loads of fireworks. It lasted for about a minute, 2 minutes, and then they were done. It was really nice. They came from the building, they were nice and pretty, and then it was over quickly so your neck doesn't hurt. It was pretty solid fireworks for me. And I really enjoyed it. I think that was better than Lanzarote, where we kind of had to wait around and go outside, and it was just a bit of a damp firework, ironically. But yeah, Lanzarote was fine, but Egypt was definitely better, and the show was more entertaining. There was a lot more going on. But yeah, I had a really good time. We stayed around for the DJ a little bit, had a couple of drinks. The other good thing about New Year's Eve is that there was drinks everywhere. Like, there was bottles and bottles of alcohol on your table. This is an 18+ hotel, by the way, which I'm going to say later, but I feel like it's worthy to add now. There was bottles of alcohol everywhere. There was wine, champagne, gin, rum, anything and everything you can think of just on the table. Loads of mixers, loads of glasses, so you could mix your own drinks, which I thought was really good considering it was really busy. We did get fantastic table service all night, don't get me wrong, but it was good because it was so busy that you did have that option to mix your own drinks as well, and then you can kind of make them to the strength you like without having to worry about it, if that makes sense. You don't have to like, oh, make it a bit more, make it a bit less. So it was pretty good. I quite enjoyed that. And then Thursday was New Year's Day, and we went snorkeling. We were supposed to do this on New Year's Eve, but it was too windy. The other thing I liked about this hotel is that they have their own pier. A lot of the hotels along the strip actually do, because it's a coral reef by the beach, and you're not allowed to walk on it, obviously, because it destroys the coral. So they have their own pier. You walk down to the end of the pier and you go swimming. It was great. There's a lifeguard on duty, which I really appreciated. Because they kind of just left you to it, and it was free. Like, we didn't have to pay to go up there or anything like that. It was just really nice, and there was someone to watch out for you and all of that kind of stuff. So that was really good. So we were snorkeling for about an hour. I did get stung for a snorkel though. It did cost me a fortune. So if anybody would like to buy it off my Vinted, I would really appreciate it. But yeah, the snorkeling was really fun. The lifeguard was really nice, and my boyfriend's sister, as she was washing her mask on the stairs to kind of sort it out, she got bit by a fish on the foot. It wasn't a bad bite. She's not infected. She's not diseased or anything like that. It was completely fine, but it was just so ironic. I was just swimming around, like, waiting for her to come back in, and then she just shot back up the stairs. And the lifeguard was like, it's fine, don't worry about it. It happens all the time, apparently, but he didn't warn us before we went in. So yeah, it was really interesting. And that's the type of thing that would happen to me. So I'm really glad that it actually happened to somebody else this holiday. But it was kind of funny. And snorkeling was really fun, even though I don't like fish. I don't like seeing fish. I don't like being near fish. I don't like eating fish. But 2026 is about doing things that scare me, hence why I'm here with you guys, because it freaks me out. But I was like, I'm going to start strong, I'm going to get in, I'm going to snorkel with the fish and not be a wimp about it. And actually, I wasn't. I really enjoyed it. So that was really fun. I would definitely do it again, and I would use my pipe next time, but I didn't actually use my pipe because I wanted to be able to put my head in and out of the water. Like, I wanted a reason to do that, if that makes sense, because I didn't want to be face down all the time. And then it was our first excursion. I forgot to say, our first excursion. We went out to do a city tour with TUI's like representative company, and it was incredible. It was my favourite part of the whole trip, and I'm going to save talking about it until the end of the video because I want it to end on a high, because it was really good. I learned so much. It was really cultural. Our guide was fantastic, and genuinely it was a real highlight of the trip. I really enjoyed it, and I would definitely do it again. I don't know how much it cost though, because I didn't pay for it, so I don't remember how much it cost, but it was worth the money in my opinion. Go math. And after we went out in the city, we came back about 8, half 8, 9, and had an Asian. It was just generally labelled Asian in the restaurant. And my camera's wonky. Oh my god, I can't believe I've only just noticed. It didn't really make that much difference, did it? Anyway, we went to an Asian restaurant, and it was kind of a mix of different Asian food. So I had... what did I have? Oh, it was kind of like a ramen soup for starters. So it was like spicy vegetable soup, as it was labelled. It was really nice, very spicy. And my lips were really chapped because I always get sick on holiday. So my lips were really chapped, and it was going into my chapped lips, and it was very stressful. And the server made fun of me that day, but like in a friendly way. Like, they're very playful. And they said, it's so sad because they said that they knew we were English because we were the only group that smiled at them. Only English people smile at them, and honestly that is the saddest thing I've ever heard. And then he made fun of me because I wasn't smiling because my lips were chapped and it hurt, and he was like, you don't smile, you go like this. And I was like, whoa, first off, that was an incredible impression of me. Second off, ow. But they were just really fun and really playful, and I was like, it was a good night. So we started off with the vegetable ramen, then we had sweet and sour chicken and stir-fry noodles for the main. That was really good. I wolfed down those noodles like there was no tomorrow. They were so good, and I wish I'd have got another bowl. And then for dessert, I tried something I'd never had before. It was deep fried ice cream. It was kind of like a profiterole. It was really good. It's the best dessert I had there apart from the general ice cream. So I was very impressed. I really enjoyed that food. That was really good. And the dessert was the best dessert the whole time, apart from maybe the chai masala. That was pretty good. And that was all for Thursday. It was quite a long day because we've been out for the excursion for a really long time. And then Friday we went out on another excursion that went early in the morning, and we did a semi-submergible. I'll talk a little bit about it later. It was basically a boat, and you go down underneath and you see all the corals as you pass. Don't really know how I feel about it though in terms of environmental. Again, I'll talk about it later. Anyway, enjoyed the experience. It was really good. It was really quick. They took you to and they took you from. So yeah, it was a nice, easy morning excursion and didn't really have to do anything. Then after that, we just chilled, had a nice pool day, swimming, a bit drinking, a bit of vibing, you know, just nice chill afternoon in the pool, which was nice. And the sun kind of sets at like 4:30, which it does in the UK, but it feels really dramatic because it's so bright and sunny in Egypt, and then all of a sudden the sun's going down. Whereas here, you don't really notice the difference. Just felt like the sun went down really quickly in the afternoon. It didn't. It's the same as here. It just felt different. And then in the evening we had a Turkish. Now this was my least favourite restaurant. I really enjoyed the soup. I cannot remember for the life of me what soup it was, but it was almost like a spicy vegetable soup. Not quite like ramen. It was a bit more soupy rather than like brothy, if that makes sense. So yeah, it was good, but the main was chicken skewers and they were a bit pink. I think they might have been chicken thigh, which is fine. They do come a little bit pink. But you know, you don't really want to risk it when you're on holiday. So we didn't have much there. We didn't have any desserts because there was nothing that any of us wanted. So we ended up just kind of leaving there a little bit early, which is fine. They were completely fine with it. We left a tip and everything was fine. The food was fine. It just wasn't to our taste. Apologies if that was really loud. So yeah, so that was kind of the Turkish, and then we went off to Soho Square. So we'd been there the night before on the excursion. We didn't get a lot of time there, so we went back to do a bit of shopping. Now, would I go again? Not necessarily, because the lights were great, they were beautiful, the fountain was cool, it was fine. I went to shop because it's a shopping mall. However, the shops were basically the same as what we had in the hotel, what was on the strip of shops near the hotel. It just was kind of like the same old, same old. It was all touristy shops. Again, fine, we're tourists. But I thought because it was a mall, it was going to be more like branded shops, I suppose, like their equivalent of H&M, their clothes shops, their supermarkets. And there was like a couple of supermarket-y shops in there, and I did buy some gifts to bring home, but it was just a bit like nothing was priced. It was all geared towards tourists, and pretty much every shop had the same stuff in it. So I was a bit disappointed by the mall aspect of it, because I thought it was going to be more of a shopping centre, if that makes sense, rather than a collection of tourist shops. Does that make any sense? It made sense to me. I was there. So yeah, if you're going to go to Soho Square, be prepared for the fact that it's not actually like a shopping centre. It's more of a collection of tourist shops. And if you're going to go to them, you might as well just go to the ones near your hotel, because it's exactly the same pretty much. I did, however, find some Pokemon cards in there. They turned out to be fake Pokemon cards. However, we ripped them and it was fun. It was a good experience. And the Leafeon that I pulled, ironically, went in my binder, because why not? It's not going to be traded. It's not going to be back into like circulation. It's just something fun that we did on holiday, and I got to keep some stuff from it. I'll probably just donate the rest to a charity shop or make some art with them or something. So yeah, oh, I could paint them. I want to learn how to paint Pokemon cards, so that might be a good way to start, kind of use those fake ones. Yeah, that was Friday, and then Saturday was spa day. Okay, the spa was incredible, don't get me wrong, and I had a fantastic time. However, I had a sports massage, and girl, let me tell you, I was fighting for my life. If you've never had a sports massage, it's like intense restorative massaging. It's not just like nice relaxing, like they get elbows, thumbs, they get right in all of your knots, and they get it's painful, okay? And it's supposed to be painful. It's restorative. It makes all the blood go to those problem areas, and it restores it, basically. It makes you heal. I've never had a sports massage before. I have had a massage before, and it was good, but I wanted to have a sports massage. Everyone's been telling me to get a sports massage because it's going to make me feel better. So I did. Everyone else had a shoulder and back massage that was like half an hour, and mine was 50 minutes. So we were in different time slots, which was fine. I don't really want people in there while I'm getting massaged anyway. But honestly, let me tell you, we had completely different experiences. They were still positive. I had a really good time. I just want to preface this by, it was incredible and it did its job and I was really happy. However, I was not quite anticipating how intense it was going to be. So they all came out of their massages and I went in for mine, and you go in and the spa was free, like the actual utilities and stuff. Amenities in there were free. So you can go and sit in the hot tub, in the sauna and the steam room, and there was loads of nice relaxing areas to be in. There was dressing gowns, slippers, anything you could ever wanted in there to kind of relax with. So yeah, you go in there for half an hour before your treatment. You can relax in the hot tub or in the whatever to open your pores, relax your muscles, and then they take you up for your massage. And you can also have an hour slot free every single day. We did pay on top for the massage, and it was £75, I think-ish. It was €100, I'm pretty sure, to have a sports massage, which actually, I don't think that price was that bad. Last time my sister and I went to the spa and we had a massage, it literally cost us like £300 each. So yeah, it's pretty intense. Was it £300 each or £300 together? Either way, it was a lot of money, you know. I don't think £75 for like a nearly an hour. It definitely took an hour long massage to have done. It wasn't too bad. So I was pretty impressed. And yeah, so now down to the actual massage. It was great because they gave us a little form telling them, so we could tell them rather areas that we needed to focus on, problem areas like injuries and things, dancer, knee injury, ankle injury, so areas to avoid, reasons that we were having it done, so what part of the body was aching, why we needed the restoration, what we did, where we kind of worked to kind of get an idea of where might be tight if we didn't already know. And it was great. She was really gentle. She started on my left leg. I was like, which is my bad leg, if you didn't know. So I have a bad knee and a bad ankle on that leg. So I was like, oh, this is nice. I could have gone for harder pressure. This is fine. She was going easy. She was definitely going easy on me, because then the rest of it, I was literally fighting for my life. Like, it was so painful, but in a good way. And like, I trust these people completely, because they know what they're doing. They're the artists, they're the masseuse, they know what they're doing. So I'm just gonna let them do what they want to me. And my God, honestly, there was a time she was like stretching and pulling my arms out. She put her foot on the bed, like literally like this with one foot up, and like pulled me. Girl. She did comment about how strong and flexible I was, so that was kind of a win. But yeah, they do like stretches and everything, and it was really intense. She got all of the knots out in my trap, so that was a win. But Jesus, oh my goodness, I thought I saw the light. Like, I was ready to pass on. It was genuinely insane, and I cannot believe that I survived. But I did, and it made me feel great. And she put some tiger balm on my shoulders, told me to drink lots of water, and that I was going to be sore tomorrow, and boy was I sore tomorrow. Oh my goodness. So after that experience, we went out and kind of walked up the strip where our hotel was. I did a bit of shopping. Now this is kind of where, and the same in like Soho Square as well, this is where you get like the hustle culture, because in the hotel you get it a little bit, but it's a little bit less because they're being paid a wage. Every shop, they want to know where you've come from, how long you've been here, how old you are, like what part of the UK you're from, what you're looking for. And it's just a bit intense. Like, I don't really like telling people that kind of stuff, even though I'm here on the internet, but we'll move. I don't really like when people approach you with that. I don't like being approached even in the UK, let alone in a different country when I'm just trying to like feel my way through what's going on. So it was a bit overwhelming, and it was a bit intense, especially when I just fought for my life in a massage and I felt like I was barely walking. However, they were really kind, they were really friendly, and they were understanding when you said no. And they were really, really nice to us as well. Like, there's a bit of a stigma around it about the way that they are with women and all of that kind of stuff. And luckily, because we were in a tourist area, they don't really have that attitude. They were really nice. They were a bit overly nice. They gave us free stuff because we were women, but it was good. I didn't feel uncomfortable. I didn't feel in any situation like I was in danger, and that was something that people have said that it feels like in Egypt. And of course, if you're in mainland Egypt, maybe, but we're on that little extra strip, the touristy area, so it's a little different. I got a free bracelet from one of the vendors, and also a bookmark with my name kind of on it, because they kept thinking I was saying Ali, not Ellie. And they all got really excited because it was an Arabic name. So I was just like, and I didn't want to explain that it wasn't. But maybe Ali is the Arabic version of Ellie, who knows. But I got a nice little bookmark with Ali or Ellie on the back. So I'll just take it that Ali is my Arabic name. But yeah, that was kind of fun. I had a nice time. It was nice and relaxing. And then as the sun went down, I think that was the night we went to the Italian. I was right. We went to the Italian restaurant that night, and that was good, but the portion sizes were really small. Just didn't feel like we got a lot of food. I had a lasagna and it was literally like that big. So yeah, not my favourite. I think in terms of restaurants, it was Indian, then Asian, and then Turkish and Italian were kind of the worst, but it's fine. It was food. It was edible. Service was great in there, actually. They were really attentive with like refills and drinks and all that kind of stuff. So can't really complain too much on that end. Then Sunday is when we opened our fake Pokemon cards by the pool. If you want to see what we pull, have a look on my TikTok. And then we had a pool day. It was the nicest weather. By accident, we planned this perfectly. And we had the day by the pool in the sun on the sunniest and warmest day that we were there. Was the best day, in my opinion. Nice and chill. Had a little bit of a swim in the pool. There was like a hot tubby area that wasn't really a hot tub. It was just kind of like the hot tub without the hot pot. So it was in a cold pool, and then the hot tub was also cold, but it was fine. It was all good. It was nice and chill. It was so warm that it didn't really matter. And that was about it. We kind of went to the evening stuff, played some games, and that was our last evening. So on the Mondays when we flew home, now flying home was a complete nightmare, and I will talk to you about that in a minute, but I do not want to be back in the UK. So we did our checkout, and that was pretty easy. My suitcase was actually broken. So that was annoying because it was broken on the way out by somebody, and I have contacted TUI about it, but they haven't got back to me. And if you don't know, my suitcase is a limited edition American Tourister Captain America suitcase. Everybody loves it. It's my favourite thing to take to Comic-Con, and you can always see it when it's coming off the belt because it's so obvious, and now it's broken and unusable because it's split all the way up the front, and I actually scraped my arm on it. So I had to get it wrapped. Now, I did have to pay about £7.50 to have it wrapped, and honestly, it's not the end of the world. It was a little machine, and someone came specifically to do it, so, you know, they had to make a journey all the way to the hotel, then wrap the thing in the machine for me, and then go back. So I'm not that mad that I had to pay, but I am kind of mad, because who broke my suitcase? Why would you do that? So I was a little bit mad that my suitcase was broken. However, it wasn't the end of the world, and it did get wrapped, and it made it home back in one piece, and all my stuff made it back in one piece. So that's not the end of the world. I was just a bit frustrated with it. Checkout was fine because we were sharing 2 rooms. My boyfriend's dad decided that he was going to pay for our like spa and excursions and stuff like that. So when we checked out, there was a spa charge. They wouldn't let us check out because we hadn't paid the spa charge, so we had to wait until his dad came to pay for it. But they were pretty understanding. As soon as we kind of explained that it was his dad and his dad was paying for it, they were like, oh no, that's fine, you go sit down in the lobby and like just wait for him, like we're not going to make you stand here. So they were completely fine. Suitcase was sorted, and then we basically just played games in the lobby until the day was over, until we had to go home. We got picked up at 4:30, I think, maybe something like that, and taken to that's the light. Oh, I thought it was a stain. Sorry. Anyway, we were taken to the airport about 4:30, and it was pretty seamless. We got to the airport. We got through the first security check-in, and then we picked up our boarding passes, and then the second and third security. We passed all the security fine. It took a while, but it was fine. We didn't really have any problems, apart from Charlie did get stopped on the way out and on the way back because of the games in his suitcase and the Pokemon cards in his backpack. They were very confused about that. I think there might be a thing with like fake IDs and fake passports coming out of Egypt, because they were like, ID, and he was like, no, it's games, and he was like, oh, games, oh, okay, yeah, you're fine. So yeah, so I think there might be a thing with that, so be aware of that. If you're going to take board games or things like that, they might stop you. But it was fine. We got through security. They also split you off into men and women, because it's an Arabic country, and it's not an Arabic country, it's a Muslim country. And they don't want them crossing. Obviously the men can't touch the women and the women can't touch the men, and they do a full body search because Sharm el Sheikh airport is a military airport, I believe, and they kind of give grace to tourists and travelers and things like that. So we will, you know, it's fine, it is what it is. Again, I'd rather be safe than sorry. I'll talk about being safe than sorry. I thought I'd already said it, but I will say about it a little bit more because there was a lot of security. But yeah, so it was fine. I quite enjoyed it. It wasn't too bad. Until quite enjoyed it because it was like, I don't know, people were just complaining and whining, and I was just like, get a grip. And I just find it really entertaining when people are stupid. Like this one mum brought a toy home. I don't know whether she spoke English. I'm pretty sure she did. But she bought a toy home, and it was like a wooden box, and it had warning tape across the top, and it had loads of buttons and wires sticking out of it, and it looked like an explosive device. It was clear to anybody that looked like an explosive device. So they took it off her and were like, you cannot take this on the plane, like we need to do extra checks on this. And she was literally losing her shit, like, girl, get a grip, it looks like a bomb. Like, I turned around and said it to her. I was like, it looks like a bomb. That's why they want to take it from you. And then she had to go at me, and I just walked off because I was like, you know what, girl? Whatever. Like, if you cannot see that looks like an explosive. No matter, like, she had a child with her, and they had loads of children's toys, but that doesn't stop you from taking an explosive device on a plane, you know? It's a pretty good cover story. Just saying. So yeah, it was just really bizarre. So I was kind of entertained watching people like lose their minds going through all of the conveyors and stuff. There was in total 3 security checks to get into the airport. Then this is where things started to go wrong when we got to the gate, because in Sharm el Sheikh airport they have like 4 gates out of 1 door. So they had 8, 7, 8, 9 and 10 going out of 1 doorway, and then they do a random bag check at that doorway. And because of the snow in the UK, there was like, I think 2 flights to the UK that were delayed. It was like Gatwick and Edinburgh or Glasgow or something like that, and they got delayed. So they were trying to funnel into this 1 doorway while also funneling out, and we were trying to funnel in, and it was all just a bit of a nightmare. Eventually we got let through after kind of pushing and shoving, but they didn't explain to me that I was getting my bag checked. They just pointed me off in the direction that everybody from the other plane was going in. Our plane was going left, the other plane was going right, and I was the only one from our plane that got searched. Which is fine, like I don't mind, again, safe, sorry, all of that fiasco, it's fine, I don't mind having my bag searched, I've got nothing to hide, but I was frustrated with the fact they didn't explain to anybody what was going on, because they also did it to a teenage girl behind me. I don't know whether it was her dad that was with her, but she was talking to a man and she was right behind me. She was so stressed, she was so anxious, because she probably was only like 16. Then I explained to her what was going on. They're checking our bags. They want you to do this, this and this, because none of them explained that to us. I'd picked that up from watching other people. You had to like put your name down and your seat number and your flight and sign it and just say, I've had a bag check for this flight. They didn't explain any of that to us. So that was really scary for her, not understanding what was going on. Nobody's telling her what was going on. Everybody's shouting at you because nobody's telling each other what to go on, so then we're just getting shouted at by the bag check people. So it was just a bit stressful after having waited like an hour in this queue that's not going anywhere and seeing our boarding time come up and all of that kind of stuff and not being able to get in. So it's a bit stressful, but if you are going, be prepared for that on the way home, that they will do a random bag check. Just follow them where they point you. They will let you go back to your party, like don't worry about it. I kind of went off piste there for a second and completely lost track of where I was going, and it was not important information, and this video is getting pretty long. So anyway, on the way home we were finally boarded the flight, and we sat there for ages because they didn't have a flight manifest and there was passengers missing from the plane, and it was all just a bit of a nightmare, and they couldn't leave, and then eventually we left. And then we got home and everything got worse. So it was nice to be home. It was nice to be back and like, you know, be able to sleep in our own bed and stuff. But we weren't in our own bed. We were in Bristol Airport, and my boyfriend's car had a flat and his dad's car didn't start. So we were literally in Bristol Airport in the freezing cold. It was like -4 and we couldn't go anywhere. Luckily, my boyfriend knows how to change a tyre, so he managed to change his tyre so we could go home. And we did offer to take his family home in his car as well, but they didn't want to go. He wanted to stay with his dad. I mean, quite rightfully, because he just changed his tyre. We survived, obviously, because I'm home. But yeah, so it was a bit stressful. They were waiting for the RAC for hours to come out, and in the end, they just rang the AA, and the AA came out instead. Oh, sorry, I'm just moving because my legs are going a bit numb. Yeah, they called out the AA and the AA came instead, so that was fine. They eventually got home, but they all had work the next day. Luckily, they all work together and they work for his dad, so it was fine, but it was just really stressful when you come back from holiday at midnight and everything's gone wrong all the way up until this point, and then you get home and everything gets worse. So yeah, then eventually we got home and the holiday was over. We managed to sleep a little bit, and then the snow messed everything else up at home. But that was the general rundown of Egypt. I'd say like the worst part was traveling. Like the last bit of leaving the airport was really stressful because nobody was communicating. They didn't speak very good English, which understandably it's not an English country, but it did make it difficult to not only communicate to us, but to communicate to the TUI staff as well. So then people were getting angry with the TUI staff for not, it was just a bit much, you know, and I felt bad for all the staff because everybody was trying their best on all aspects of it. There just wasn't enough people to be able to handle the amount of tourists coming through. So it was a bit much. It was a bit much for me, I'm not gonna lie. That was kind of the rundown, and then I want to talk about the service, the money, the water, the hotel, the food, and the excursions. So if you want to stick around and kind of have tips and tricks and recommendations for those kinds of things, I'm going to start with, no, that wasn't words. I'm going to start talking about the service. So the service actually was fantastic. Pretty much everywhere we went was amazing. The only bad experience, I only had like one really bad experience. Immediately out of the airport upon arrival, there was a gentleman taking bags and putting them under the bus, and he immediately stuck his hand out and was like, English money, English money, English money. And we were like, my guy, you just put a thing in a thing. Like, that's pretty standard everywhere you go. It wasn't like exceptional service. But the thing is, he probably worked off tips, so we did give him money, but we didn't have any English money, so he wasn't very happy that we'd given him Egyptian money. And like, that's fine. I get that they work on that kind of, they do work on tips, and they don't like their own money because other money is more valuable. But it was just a bit jarring to immediately come out of the airport, try and figure out what's going on, and then immediately have someone stick their hand out when you literally don't even have your bag on you. Like, do you know what I mean? It's kind of like a stressful thing, and it was a bit jarring straight out of the airport. And that's kind of really the only bad experience I had. The other one that was kind of bad was in the hotel. When you're relaxing, they come around, there's like excursion companies there, and they come around and they talk to you, and they try and get you to book on the excursion. 99% of them will just say, no worries, have a good day, like if you say no. But there was just like one man who would not let you go, like would just be like, oh, come back, I'll come back tomorrow, yeah, you'll book tomorrow, and it's like, no, I don't want to. I don't like, there was like a snorkeling, I think it was. I don't want to snorkel. That's just not my thing. And even if I wanted to, I would come and talk to you, I would come and find you again. But we said, no, we don't want to. It wasn't like, oh, we weren't sure. We categorically said no, and he wouldn't take no for an answer. And that was like the only person out of the whole trip that we were like, my guy, get a grip. But other than that, the service was fantastic. They do work on tips, but it wasn't like the guy at the airport was very obviously waiting for a tip, whereas in the hotel, they are a lot more subtle about it, and the service is good regardless. So like a lot of the staff, we didn't tip. We did tip at the end of the week, but we didn't tip every day, and we didn't tip every person. But it was pretty good service. Everything was really good. Better service than in the UK, in my opinion. And yeah, everything was generally nice and friendly. A little bit too friendly, like I said, in the Strip and in Soho Square and stuff like that. They're a little bit over friendly, but 9 times out of 10 you just said no thank you and they would be like, okay, that's fine. So yeah, I'd say service is pretty good. They are a little bit pushy, which is not our kind of culture here in the UK. So if that's not something that you like me, then just be prepared for it. Be prepared, say no, stand your ground, and they'll be perfectly fine. Just keep being polite. Sorry. So that's kind of like the service. Again, in the hotel, like it was so fine. They came round and they asked you, even like at the poolside, they would come round and serve you drinks. They would serve you drinks in the lobby, anywhere in the hotel where you would just sat down, they would come and serve you, so you didn't have to go anywhere. And I really like that. I'm lazy, and I also don't like talking to people. So if they're going to come up to me and ask me if I want a pina colada, I'm going to say yes. Because by the end of the week, they knew exactly what we all drunk. And because we were a big party, there's a lot of like couples there, and there was 5 of us. We were quite a big party, so they knew us and they knew what we wanted. So they would know I drank pina coladas. So they'd be like, do you want a pina colada? And I'd be like, yeah, bring me a pina colada. So yeah, it was pretty good. I quite enjoyed the service. One thing I was really confused about when I was planning the trip was money. Again, things like tips and what money to take with you. So right now, the exchange rate in the UK is absolutely shocking. Do not buy Egyptian pounds in the UK. That is my advice. I bought Egyptian pounds through the post office, and it was like 1 to 42 Egyptian pounds. And that gets you nowhere because the exchange rate is absolutely shocking. They don't really want you bringing money or taking money out of the country, which is completely understandable. So my personal advice from what I experienced is take euros or take US dollars or British pounds in that order. Pretty much everything in all of the tourist shops was priced in euros. They answered in euros. They would say €2 or €4 when you asked for the price, or they would say $2. So it's usually euros or dollars that we experience people paying with, that they wanted you to pay with. They weren't really interested in Egyptian money. And the good thing about having euros or dollars is that the conversion rate is a little bit more easy to understand, whereas trying to convert Egyptian pounds into English pounds, like, it's so confusing trying to work out the maths, and they could literally give you any price and you would be like, yep. Sorry, excuse me. So that's one thing that I would say, is that my recommendation is to take euros because they like euros, they accept euros, and the exchange rate and the conversion rate is a lot better to pounds. However, they did take Egyptian pounds, they took any money that we gave them. So yeah, it wasn't too bad. It's not really that stressful. They also take card in most places, and you can also use the calculator app on your phone, on an iPhone, to exchange the money. So it's a little bit complicated. If you're going to take Egyptian pounds, you can take Egyptian pounds, you can take British pounds or dollars, but I recommend euros. I think that would be right now the best option. if you're going to Sharm el Sheikh or like the touristy areas. If you're going to Cairo or like the more mainland parts of Egypt, I can't really comment because I don't know what money they use over there. But if you're going to go to Sharm el Sheikh, I would definitely recommend euros. And I would also recommend haggling. Like, they will give you crazy prices for stuff. Even in your hotel, the hotels are the worst for it. They will give you crazy prices for stuff and you have to haggle them down. And don't be afraid of saying no. Don't be afraid of saying, no, that's not a good price, I'm putting it back, because they're more likely to want you to buy something. So yeah, that's what we did. And also, it sounds really silly, but the whiter you are, the more they want to talk to you. So my boyfriend's sister is so pale. She wears like factor 50 sun cream, and we sent her to haggle everything because she got a better price because they thought she was pretty. And fair enough. So we sent her off, and she likes to haggle and I don't like to haggle, and she likes to buy things, just not with her own money. So it was nice to send her off to buy stuff for us because she tended to get a better price than the rest of us did. So yeah, that's a tip and trick for you. Send your nicest person. I'm so sorry, my throat is so dry. I don't have a single drink near me. Love that for me. We've only got water, hotel, food and excursions to go down, so hopefully I can get it through this. So in terms of water, another thing I was really worried about is obviously Egypt doesn't have clean drinking water for us. Like, our water is filtered, their water is not. Obviously Egyptians drink it and they're fine. We in the UK are just not used to the different kinds of things that come in their water. So we were really lucky. Our hotel, as soon as we got in the bus from the airport, they told us exactly what we could and couldn't do with the water. It was fine to shower in, it was fine to swim in. We couldn't brush our teeth in it though. That was the only thing we weren't allowed to do, was brush our teeth out of the tap. All of the ice and all of the juice, any of the drinks and food was prepared and used filtered water and bottled water. So like, we were having iced coffees and cocktails and things like that, even like blended, I had pina coladas all week, blended cocktails, and they were completely fine. We didn't get sick. Now, I also accidentally drank the pool water, kind of accidentally submerged myself and then, you know, came up gasping for air because I thought I could touch the floor and I couldn't. And I wasn't sick, and I took a shower pretty much every day and I wasn't sick. I brushed my teeth in bottled water, I washed my hands in the tap water and I wasn't sick. I did use the bottled water to wash my face. So yeah, that's what I would recommend, is listening to what they say. It's very important you listen to what they say, either at the hotel or on the bus. If they don't tell you on the bus, go and ask a receptionist, because they'll be able to tell you what you can and can't do with the water. It will vary between different hotels, I imagine. Everybody will be different, but if you stay in the hotel I stayed at, they gave you lots of bottled water. We had like 3 bottles by the sink, 2 bottles by the kettle, 3 bottles in the mini fridge. Like, there was so much water to go around, and you could obviously go and ask for some. So it was really easy to work through. The other thing is, if you're out and about, it's different. So if you're gonna, like, we went on an excursion and they said don't buy any drinks. If you are going to buy anything, buy it bottled, buy bottled water and bottled juice, because they don't filter their water. So it does depend on where you're going. Like, we went to the Hard Rock Cafe, and to be completely honest, I didn't even think about it. I had juice with ice in it and I was fine. So it depends, I think, on the place that you go. I imagine though, if we were going to the Hard Rock Cafe in the excursion and they didn't have ice that was like filtered, they would tell us not to drink it. So yeah, it's pretty good. Definitely listen to your guides and your reps, and go and ask at reception if you're unsure, because they will be more than happy to tell you what to do. Because the other thing is, if they tell you to drink the water or they tell you to brush your teeth in it and then you get sick, you can sue the hotel. So the last thing they want to do is to give you unsafe advice, you know? And that leads me nicely onto the hotel. So the hotel that I stayed at was the Rixos Sharm el Sheikh hotel, and it's a TUI partner hotel, and honestly I highly recommend it. It was adults only, and you also had access to the sister hotel, which was the Rixos Seagate, I believe, which is the child's hotel. There's also the Rixos Radamis hotel, which looks incredible, but it is massive and also incredibly expensive. I do believe that this hotel was quite expensive as well, so I was very lucky to be taken on an all expenses paid trip by my boyfriend's family. I'm very, very lucky and very grateful for them, as the hotel was really good. Like I've said about the service, it was great. The workers were really friendly, really nice. They got to know us really well. And one of my favourite services that they did, a lifeguard came around every day and offered to clean people's sunglasses for free. I know obviously he's working on tips, but it was just really nice. He'd come around and clean your glasses for you, which was just really sweet. And it's one of those things, it's like where they really do think of everything. I've talked about table service at like even your sunbeds and sun lounges at the pool, swim up bars in the pool. Like there's just crazy amounts of stuff going on. There's beach games, volleyball, their pier. Even if you're on the beach, they'll come and serve you. There's coffee shops, ice cream parlors. There's a whole bong bar if you want it. There's a whole beach bar. There's a beach lounge. There's so much going on, and everything is outdoors, and it's just beautiful and fantastic, and I would highly recommend. The other really fun thing is that it was quite big, so there's golf carts. There's a golf cart service, and they cart you around the hotel, and it's every 15 minutes, and it's genuinely some of the most fun ever, and it makes what could be quite an inaccessible hotel very accessible. So they have accessible rooms where there's no stairs, there's no like walking, and you can get taken around on a golf cart, and they have steps, and they have staff members to help you on and off the golf cart, which as somebody who has disabled family members, like that's really good. And I do struggle to walk with some of my knee injuries, so it's really nice to have that option to be able to get carted around literally to the door, and then people will help you in and out of wheelchairs with your walking stick, give you steps. Like it genuinely is one of the most accessible hotels ever. And on the beach, they also have like an accessible pathway. So I do recommend that if you are somebody who struggles with their mobility, it was a pretty good, fairly accessible place. The only place that I'd say wasn't was perhaps the stages, because there are steps to get down to the seats. However, there are seats that are step-free access. They're just not the best seats, if that makes sense. So I would definitely recommend if you are somebody that struggles with their mobility. We also had this fantastic driver called Aladdin, and he would stop for us, he would wave at us, he would ask us how our day was. Every driver was really friendly, but would tell us about himself, and we would talk, and he was very much more friendly than some of them. They were all very friendly, but he was the most friendly. So yeah, it was great. And obviously he said we are a big group, we were quite recognisable and noticeable, so he was very kind to us, and he would stop to us and talk to us and that kind of stuff. There was also, my favourite part was the free minibar. There was beer, there was Sprite, Fanta, Coke, all of that kind of stuff. And I realised that there's probably no sugar tax in Egypt, so all of the drinks were so sweet. Like, I'm not a massive fan of Sprite because it is so sour and it just hits you with the flavour, but it was so much sweeter and it wasn't as sharp, so I just drank so much Sprite while I was there. It was unreal. There's no wonder that my face came up in spots, because I was just drinking and eating so much sugar. But it was fine. I really enjoyed it. And the minibar, when you say all inclusive, the minibar was free, the a la carte restaurants were free. The bar, literally, we did not pay. We could have that whole hotel without having to pay any extra. The only thing we paid for were the excursions and the spa treatments. That was literally it. So it was a really good service. They filled the minibar up every single day. They had new juice, new crisps, and they would change stuff up, and it was just really good. And they would also refill your water by the sink and by the kettle. There was tea, coffee, sugar, anything you could want, and they would refill it every single day. Excuse me, including the minibar, which was free. So that was kind of a slay. They also, I've talked about the amenities, so they had a heated pool, they had a spa, they also had multiple other pools you could go to, the pier, all the beach games. There was just so much, and probably more things that we didn't even realise were there. There was a sports bar, I believe, as well. There was just so much going on, and we got a tour, but it's just like so much happening. Oh, and also one of the best parts about our hotel actually was that they gave us a free upgrade. That was like the last thing I wanted to talk about. They gave us a free upgrade because we were a party of 5, so we had 2 separate rooms, as Jess's sister is diabetic, so they have to be able to keep an eye on her. So my boyfriend and I had a room together, and they upgraded our room so that we could be next to his family, because otherwise we would have been in a different part of the hotel, which wasn't a problem. We were completely happy to be over there. But as they checked us in, they were like, oh, we're going to give you an upgrade, is that okay? And we were like, oh, and they were like, it's free, we just wanted to check if that was okay with you or whether you wanted to be separate. So they completely upgraded us for free to a suite. So we had a massive bathroom, 3 beds, so we had 2 single beds and a double bed, and so much room, 2 TVs, like we had a whole suite and a balcony to ourselves, which was really sweet and really kind of them to think that we would be apart and that would be infringing on our holiday. Like, again, it's one of those times where they really do think of everything. It was really kind of them, so thank you to the Rickstar Sharm El Sheikh for making us an incredible holiday, basically, because yeah, it was fantastic. Then we come to food. Now, this was the one part of holiday that was a bit of a downer, because I love food. It was better than I expected, because I saw lots of photos and videos of food and I was like, not sure if I'm gonna want to eat a lot of that. However, it was fine. Like, I mostly ate pizza the whole time, and pizza is my favourite food, so I can't really complain. Like I've mentioned, the a la carte restaurants were fantastic. They were fine. I only saw 1 piece of pink chicken in the buffet, and everything is constantly warming up anyways. It's all on like heated plates, so it wasn't that bad. It was going to cook eventually. But yeah, there was lots of options. I had pizza, I had shawarma, I had Egyptian rice, Turkish rice, curry, stew, like anything and everything you can think of they had, which was great. And I was trying to be more adventurous. I'm just not adventurous in the food area, so I would kind of have a look around, try some stuff. They did have some really nice spicy potatoes. However, oh my goodness, I didn't even put this on the notes. The breakfasts were incredible. The breakfast was the best meal. They made these little muffins. Oh my god, I could have just eaten them all day, every day. They were so good, but they stopped doing them after like the 3rd day. They would make them like cakes rather than muffins. So it was a little different. But it was good. The breakfasts were really good, and I was really disappointed by the desserts, which is sad. So breakfast was great. The rest of the food was fine, not massively impressive, but edible and filling. Desserts were a little, not bad, just not to my taste, and not a lot of it was labelled, and a lot of it had like nuts or random fruits in them, or like I had a chocolate jelly one time, which was fine taste-wise, but texture was massively not my thing. And I'm lucky I don't have a lot of allergies, but if you had nut allergy, like the desserts, not all of them were labelled with nuts, so it was a little difficult. They had these amazing array of chocolates on New Year's Eve, and all of them had something inside. I just wanted plain chocolate. Why didn't you tell me it had nut or praline or like strawberry cream on the inside? And half of the problem is because you're not prepared for that. Again, luckily I don't have any allergies, but if you did, a lot of the desserts you wouldn't have been able to eat because it wasn't labelled. That's the only thing. I love sweets and I love chocolate and I love desserts, and I was severely disappointed by the desserts on the holiday. Sorry. But they had fantastic ice cream. Ice cream kind of made up for it, and the deep fried ice cream was insane. So yes, there's definitely the positive and negatives to the food. The food wasn't necessarily the highlight of the holiday, but it also, like, if that's the worst bit, the fact that the desserts had nuts in them and I only ate pizza, I feel like there's worse things, you know what I mean? There could have been worse things to happen. Finally, I'm going to finish on the excursions, and then that will be the end of the video. So we did do 2 excursions. So I'm going to start with talking about the semi-submergible one, because I said earlier, like, I wasn't sure about it. I really enjoyed it. And again, I liked being behind a screen and the fish not being in my face and not being able to touch me. And it was really fun watching the little kids point at the triggerfish. And then it was less fun when the triggerfish like snapped at the boat because I felt bad for them. And the other reason I felt bad is because I'm pretty sure they were feeding the fish off the boat as we were going down the corals, which again, I'm not sure if they were doing that, but I'm pretty sure they were, which I don't know what that's like for the ecosystem. I don't know how that damages their relation, like the fish relationship with the coral. Like, I don't know. I've heard that things like that are really bad for the ecosystem, and having a boat go by literally all the time can be really disturbing. We did see a stingray, so I was kind of like, I like a stingray, and it was a really good experience. But in terms of like environmentalism. I'm not sure if I would ever do it again, and I'm not sure if I would necessarily recommend it because of that, because I like the sea and I like nature and I like animals, and I don't know whether that is a good thing for them. I know there's a massive conservationist effort in Egypt. They're really trying to protect the coral and really trying to protect the fish, and I don't know how this fits into that. I'm pretty sure they do donate money to like the marine protection, but I just don't know how I felt about it. And I know that they are trying to do it in a way that's like ethical, because you have to ask the Coast Guard and you're only allowed to do it at certain times of the day, and marine police and stuff. But I don't know, I did really enjoy it, and I really enjoyed being away from the fish but getting to look at them like a moving aquarium. But I don't know, in terms of like environmentalism and the ecosystem and all that kind of stuff, I'm not sure if I would necessarily feel right recommending it. I definitely wouldn't recommend a submarine or a snorkel, because the trying to turn around and say it's dangerous is unfair. However, when you're snorkeling, you're very, very close to some very dangerous animals, and that's the same. I feel the same way about safaris and things like that. You're very close to dangerous animals, and I don't know how I feel about that. Secondly, with the submarine, one of them sank very recently and lots of people died, so that's why we didn't do the submarine and we went for the semi-submersible, because it felt a little bit more safe. Don't know if that's true, but it just felt that way. And there was a lot of other excursions that you could do, things like dirt biking and all of that kind of stuff, and a pyramids trip, and I did not want to be in the sand because of the snakes and the scorpions. I have a really big fear of things like that. So I also didn't want to break a bone on the buggies and things like that. There are a lot of trips that are fantastic experiences, but do, in my opinion, again, this is just my opinion, and the reason I didn't do it is because it felt very dangerous and very unsafe, because I know a lot of those buggies you drive yourself, and I don't even have a driver's license. Like, girl, I am not driving that thing. So yeah, there was a lot of things that I would do if I was a little bit more adventurous, and maybe I would do next time if we ever went to go again. I would really like to go and see the pyramids. That's one thing that I would like to do on my bucket list. But the trip was a ridiculous amount of time. It's very long and you have to fly, and it's just a nightmare, and I wouldn't want to do it. So if I could go see the pyramids, I would like to do that next time. But in terms of excursions, I would definitely recommend the city tour, which was the other excursion we did, and I'm going to try and keep it short and sweet, but honestly it was a fantastic tour. And I'm going to just get my list up so I can remember where we went, because we did lots of stuff. So we started off, they picked us up about 2. We went off to a cathedral. Guys, that is genuinely one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in my life. And look, I'm not religious, and I did say I wasn't showing any photos, but I'm actually tearing up. The paintings inside them, like, hello, is that not one of the most beautiful things you've ever seen in your life? Like, it really just was one of the most incredible things I've ever seen, and it was only made by 2 painters. There was quite a lot of assistants that did some of the work as well, but 2 painters painted this entire cathedral. There were so many paintings. It was so beautiful, honestly. I just soaked it all up. And again, I'm not religious. And I don't think I ever will be. But I'm really spiritual, and I do believe in like the divine, I suppose. So being invited into someone else's religion and someone else's culture was really moving for me. Why am I going to cry? What is happening? But it's really moving. I like community, and I like spirituality and being with other people, and our guide was actually Catholic, so why am I crying? It was actually really nice to be able to share that with somebody who was really passionate about it, and he was really excited telling us about everything and telling us about all the paintings and giving us stories and things like that. So it was really cool. And the other cool thing was they gave us scarves to cover our shoulders and things to make sure that we were being respectful in the space, which again is not a necessity. They did that because it's polite, and again, it was our guide's religion, but they don't have to do that. They could have just let us in, and that's the thing that I don't like about things like this, is when they let you into particularly religious or spiritual or significant places and then don't follow the rules. So it was nice to go with a company that took that seriously. Yeah, I had a really good time in the cathedral. It was really beautiful, really moving actually to be in there. And then we went off to a papyrus shop, which was really cool. They told us how they made papyrus, and then they actually turned the lights off. I'm going to show you a picture of this too, I think. They turned the lights off and the papyrus, most of it glows in the dark. And actually what they do is they put different pictures on the front, on the papyrus. So actually when they turn the lights on and off, I think I've got a video. When they turn the lights on and off, the pictures are different, which I thought was really cool. So you're kind of getting 2 pictures for the price of 1. And they did a really cool thing where they would personalise pictures for you, put your name, put your dates, put your star sign on them. If there was one thing I regret, it's not buying something from a papyrus shop, because I thought that would be really cool, but it's okay. The prices in there were pretty fair. I did buy some Arabic coffee, Turkish coffee, I believe it was. It was made in Egypt. It was all in Arabic, so we need to work out how to make it. And I bought that for my mum. I also bought her a magnet in there. And again, all the prices in there were euros, so take euros with you. After the papyrus shop, we went up to this hill, and they talked about this area of Sharm that we were in and all of that kind of stuff. I'm not going to spoil it if you ever do go, but it was a really nice little historical talk. And I called it Sharm Hill. I don't know I can't remember what it's actually called. It does have a name, but it's like the top of Sharm el Sheikh, and you can see all of Sharm, all of the old town, the water, the mosque where we were going to go, and all of that kind of stuff. It was really, really fun. Really beautiful little spot, and the sun was setting, so it was really nice to get some pictures up there, which obviously I did, because you know me. It's actually, did I put it in the thumbnail? No, I took it out of the thumbnail, but there's a really nice picture of that on my Instagram, if you want to go look. And then after that we went to Mr. Herb's. I think it was called Mr. Herb's. Basically they taught us about old Egyptian remedies, lotions, basically like what became albus oil, all of that kind of stuff. And we were allowed to use the lotions, and they came around and let us like smell. It was like menthol tea, all of that kind of stuff. It was really fun to be part of the demonstration and get to try stuff. And then we were allowed to buy stuff there. Again, he mainly took euros, but took pretty much every currency. So again, it's nice to have different things on you. They had so much different pepper as well. My mum loves black pepper, and they had like black pepper, green pepper, pink pepper, red pepper, like all types of different pepper. But I was just like, I can't just keep buying presents for my mum and not for the rest of my family. So I didn't buy her any pepper, but if I were to go again, I'll buy my mum some pink pepper. And that was Mr. Herb's, and that was really fun. And then we walked from there over to the mosque. Again, this was a really nice, really kind of like a bucket list experience in a way, because we got to wear burqas and go into the mosque. And again, it wasn't necessary to wear a burqa, because we did see other groups not doing that. And that is what like I said, I don't like that. I would prefer to go in and be respectful, because, you know, I wouldn't expect someone to walk around our church naked, because that's kind of the equivalent of what we'd be doing. And a lot of people weren't covered up and didn't have the right kind of clothes on. So it was really nice to be able to go in and wear a burqa and a head covering and be welcomed in for free on top. Like, we didn't have to pay for a burqa, because they could have turned around and said, yeah, you can come in if you pay £10 to borrow a burqa. But they didn't. They lent it to us. They allowed us. They welcomed us into their space at their time of prayer, because it was actually, people were actively praying in there, because it was like one of the 5 times a day. And we were very respectful, very quiet, and everybody was incredibly welcoming to us because we were respectful. They were greeting us really kindly. They were being really sweet, understanding that we were there for part of a tour, but not resentful of that, because like it is a bit strange to have people in your church while you're worshipping, or in your mosque while you're worshipping, like in your place of worship while you are quite literally praying, taking pictures like it's an attraction and all that kind of stuff. I tried not to take too many pictures, but I did have a really good time, and I really enjoyed being welcomed. Why am I so emotional? I enjoy being welcomed. I enjoy people. I enjoy sharing culture. So I really had a good time, and I felt really lucky to be able to do that in a respectful way. So then after the mosque, this was kind of what I mean about treating it like an attraction. There was people around the mosque in like crop tops and sparkly little skirts taking pictures outside of the mosque, and I was just a bit like, it was a bit weird. There's a difference between taking pictures inside the mosque or taking pictures outside the mosque respectfully, and literally having your bum out for Instagram in front of a mosque. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was just, it makes me feel a little bit uncomfortable, in the same sense that you wouldn't go outside a church building and stand in a crop top and tiny little shorts and take a picture of your bum. You know, I just think there was a line of what's respectful and what's not, and there was a lot of people doing that, taking like Instagram pictures in very skimpy clothing outside of a place of worship. It was just a bit strange, and that's why I was glad that we were part of the group that were covered, if you know what I mean. It's a bit more respectful. So after the mosque, we had a little bit of free time in the Old Town Market. Now, I have a little bit to say about this, because it was kind of a stressful experience, in the sense that Charlie's my boyfriend, his sister is diabetic. And literally everywhere we went, hotel, cathedral, everywhere had a full body scanner. Now, if you're diabetic, you know you can't go through those because it messes up with your pump, and they need the pump to live. So she couldn't go through any of the scanners, and literally everywhere we went had scanners. She was prepared. She made a little Arabic card that basically explained that she was diabetic and she couldn't go through the machine because of her pump. I don't know, my mic's still on. Is my mic still on? Oh no. I'm gonna have to pause and check. You're never gonna believe this, but I actually finished this video off. I went to edit it and then realised immediately after my mic had died, and I checked whether it died or not. It hadn't died, and then it immediately died within 30 seconds of starting the video again. So we're going to cast my mind back, and we're going to go back to the Old Town. I'm moving my light a little bit so it's not reflecting in my glasses as much. Back to Old Town in terms of security. So currently there is a travel warning to Egypt from the UK, and I kind of understand why. Like, there's a pretty big worry that there's going to be a terror attack in Egypt, and as somebody who's really scared of terror and terrorism, I was really nervous about traveling there. And I also get really nervous traveling across the UK for the same reason. Like, people got stabbed on a train here recently, and you know, we're going through a bit of pretty tumultuous time, and we're obviously very close to the war zone in Egypt as well, so there was a little bit of concern that stuff might happen. However, there is so much security. They are doing everything they possibly can to try and keep people safe, so I felt immediately relieved. We had to go through so many security scanners. Everywhere we went, there was like a full body scanner, and that's fine. Like, that is so fine. I'd much rather go through full body scanners and be safe than like risk it, if that makes sense. So the whole Old Town is like fenced off, and you have to go through like a scanner to get in. And I think part of that might be to do with footfall, like see how many people are in and out and all that kind of stuff. But it makes you feel a lot safer because there is literally security everywhere. I also changed my hair because I was gonna go film another video, and I did not do that because I went to edit this instead, and then realised that it wasn't finished, so it's a good job I didn't. Anyway, so after the Old Town, like when we were there, we had a bit of free time to wander around and do our own stuff, buy stuff, and it was nice because our guide was there as well, and he was happy to kind of go around with people and just kind of make sure they didn't get scammed. There was a lot of scams going off in the Old Town. Lots of people take a picture with my monkey, or like ride my camel, and then they demand money off you. So it was nice to have someone there that kind of knew what they were doing, and because you're with a guide, they'll leave you alone. So it was nice to know that he was willing to go around with you. So that was good, and it was a really nice experience. I wouldn't say it was that bad. It was a little bit of like hassle and hustle culture, but it wasn't like ridiculous, you know what I mean? It wasn't like I would never go back because of that. The only problem was, I forgot to mention this the first time, so it's a good job I'm refilming this. I forgot to mention that there is so much smoke. The culture is so different. People smoke freely, which again, fine, I'm not going to judge the culture, but everybody's always smoking something, or they're always burning something. So whether it's like aromas, or incense or anything like that. There's always something burning, which is fine, but I got home smelling like smoke, and because I was slightly poorly, it got into all of my chapped lips, and it was making my lips even more chapped and made them feel really burnt. So I was really upset with that because I didn't like that feeling, but it wasn't like something that would put me off going again. I just need to be more prepared for that. So be aware, if you're going to be walking around in the towns, literally everything smells like smoke, everything smells like aroma, incense, everything is burning all the time. So as long as you're prepared for that, it doesn't feel so bad, I don't think. But because it was such a shock to the system, because again, we're very no smoking culture in the UK, so it's quite a bit overwhelming, but it was fine. So after we went to the Old Town, we went off to the Hard Rock Cafe, and there's one near our hotel that was like the biggest one in the world. We didn't go to that one, we went to the other one that was like in town. We got a free drink there, which was fine, and like I said earlier, like it all had ice in and none of us got poorly, so we all had a free drink. We had juice, Coke. You could also have like rum in it and have alcohol in them if you wanted to, for free, which was pretty good. And then any drink you bought after that, you got 10% off because you're with a tour guide. So I'd say that was pretty solid, a pretty good win. And you had enough time to have a look around, see what kind of memorabilia is about. And like my best friend is obsessed with the Beatles, so I literally, like, there was so much Beatles merch in there, so like I went round and took pictures of all of the stuff that I found that was Beatles related and sent it to her. So yeah, it was nice to be able to have that time. It was also time to nip in the shop next door. I bought myself a t-shirt. It was actually the only time I used my card while I was away. And actually the exchange rate wasn't too bad, like it wasn't ridiculous. I thought it was going to be worse, and I think it was about £26 it came to, which is fine. That's how much I paid for my t-shirt when I went in London anyway, so it wasn't like extortionate. It's like a very marine life, like Sharm Sheikh vibe. It was really cool. It says Sharm Sheikh on the front, and then it has turtles, like marine life, on the back, and it does actually, a portion of the purchase of the money, portion of the money that I spent goes towards a marine biology, like a marine preservation charity. So I was quite impressed with that, and that was kind of part of the reason why I don't mind spending a little bit more on stuff on holiday. Like that's the kind of stuff I like to buy rather than stuff from the touristy shops. That's why I was kind of disappointed with the mall, if that makes sense. So yeah, that was that. And then after we went to Hard Rock, we went to Soho Square, which I did kind of already talk about. We had a bit of time to walk around there, and that's about it really. Like we walked around, watched the show, the like fountain show, and came back, and that was like the end of the excursion. Was it worth the money? Yes. Would I do it again? Yes, absolutely. I really enjoyed it. I like learning about the culture, and if you go with a different guide, there's obviously different stuff you're going to learn. They know like different things, so, and they like prioritize different information. So I would definitely go again. I would definitely recommend it. That was kind of like the best part of my trip. I really enjoy history and culture, so would I like to go on a different excursion? Absolutely, yes, I would love to. I can't remember whether I've said this, so if I have already said this, feel free to skip ahead, but I would like to go to the pyramids one time. I wouldn't necessarily recommend any of the other excursions, like the snorkeling, the submarine. There was also dirt biking and the pyramids trip and all that kind of stuff. As much as I wanted to go to the pyramids, it was so much hassle because it's so far away. You have to either catch a flight or be on a bus for like a whole day, and I don't like that, so I didn't do that. I also didn't want to be anywhere near the sand or anything like that, so that's kind of why I chose not to do it. But yeah, that was pretty much the whole holiday. Like we had a really good time. It was nice and relaxing, good excursions, food was okay, and I would definitely go back. I understand now why people go back for years and years and years and years. I would definitely go back. It was really fun. There was so much to do. There's so much we didn't do, even though it felt like we did so much but also nothing at the same time, if that makes sense. So yeah, it was definitely really fun. I would 100% go again, and I would definitely recommend Sharm el Sheikh, Rixos, particularly Rixos Sharm el Sheikh as a destination if you are going to go on holiday somewhere. But yeah, I think that is the whole yap up for this time. I've run out of things to say because I've said most of it twice. And it'll actually be a nice experiment to see whether you guys prefer the mini mic or whether you prefer the phone mic. Let me know what you think is better. I'm happy to use neither or both. But yeah, my mic died, so hopefully next time we'll either I'll buy one with a longer battery life, or I will keep it short and sweet. But that's kind of not the point of this. The whole point of this is so it's like long form and I could just keep talking at you. So yeah, that is the end of the monthly Yap Up for, I suppose, the special beginning episode, because technically January will be next time. A lot's happened this month. I've got a lot to talk about. I had a bit of a wobble over the past couple of days, and that's kind of what I went on a tangent about. I don't even know how I got there. I was just like checked out for a few minutes, but that's going to be in the next episode, talking about January, about the snow and all that kind of stuff. So yeah. If you don't know me from other platforms, I have the same username on everything apart from Twitch, where it's an underscore in between the two words. It's elmo.cosplays or elmo_cosplays. I post mostly on my TikTok, but I'm trying to post on Instagram a little bit more and also entering into the YouTube chat. Hopefully this has been enjoyable to watch or just good enough to put on in the background while you're eating. I hope it tastes nice and hope your cleaning goes well. Because if you're anything like me, you got me in silence, and that's why I wanted to make these videos, to appeal to those people who just want someone to yap at them about nothing in particular. So that is the end. I will shut up, I swear. The end of month 1 of the monthly Yap Up, I suppose, kind of. And the second episode will be up pretty swiftly, I think, because I think I'm going to film it like next week. So I hope you guys enjoy watching, and hopefully I will see you the next time I want to just yap at camera. Bye!